Hello everyone, welcome to the Watch Poplars. Today, I'm going to get rid of some of the trees that I don't need, considering my future plans living in Oregon. So, there are a lot of trees in my collection that I don't need. I have duplicates of ones that are not native that I can get rid of. I just have too many trees. I have too many plants. And yeah, and I guess the only ones I will save duplicates of are the natives. So I will sort them from, I will sort the ones that are native and the ones that are not native. And I will show you the percentage of native plants to non-native ones I have. So here I have put all the ones over here, and these are all non-native. These are all introduced plants here. There are some here that I do want to keep, and if I notice any, well, there's actually some, such as my privet, that I'm rethinking about keeping it. And there's some that I may not keep for the rest of my life, such as these apples, because we already have native plum trees. Apples, as far as I know, are not native here. They might grow elsewhere in the country, but it's far enough away from here, home, that I don't think it's worth having it. And because I know that I get a lot of diversity in seasons in my collection of natives as well, not just my non-natives. And I do notice I certainly have more. Well, this is a bit spread out a little bit more, but I might have more non-natives. Well, here, I have 2 poison oak ones. That's native. I'm not discussing about anything else about poison oak aside from how much I have of them. I have a bunch of plums, including a forest. So all of my singular plum trees I have in the same tray. And then there's my forest. Because it's a forest, it needs its own container. I have multiple valley oaks on the way. I don't only just have these, but I have these as well. So if one of those gets too weak, I can always discard the one and keep these. If those recover, I probably won't repot both of them next year. But if I don't know, one dies or gets like mauled by snails or whatever, I have these as backup. I may not root prune these. I'll just let them grow strong until they fill the pot. Because that's probably something I haven't been doing. Maybe oaks need also keeping these spit bugs away. So I'll have to pick it out with tweezers and squish the bug. Later, I will remove this invasive pear because as beautiful as its fall colors are, and it's interesting that it keeps some of its strongest leaves, or the last leaves it sprouted throughout the winter, even though those leaves would be like burgundy, which is kind of interesting. But they're the leaves during winter that are the last ones, they're like this color, and I don't need that. I have a grapevine. There's native grapes and there's poison oak that do that, but at earlier times of the year. I have plenty of ones that turn yellow, of course at different times. This is one of the later ones that turns yellow. If I don't prune it off to the first two leaves in late summer, the color would go up, the leaves would turn yellow up, and then the last leaf would fall off probably before the New Year's, right before. I do not need my true cedar, because the only true cedars grow in the Middle East. Then the plums turn yellow. That's at a fair time of the year. The alder doesn't get any fall colors, but it's native and it's developing very nicely. The dogwood it has red stems and it turns bright fuchsia in fall. My native willows may or may not seed and flower at some point in their lifetime, my lifetime. But there's two kinds of native willows. I have a backup buckeye for this, which I may not keep. It still has not recovered from repotting because it's wobbling. It's just surviving on what it has, barely surviving on what it already has. All of my poplars except my white poplars, which aren't really doing very well anyway, because, well, I put root hormones on them. It may take a few months for them to catch up, or to take, but they got mauled by snails, so they got slowed down a bit. But, you know, if I keep them in a moat of water, they won't get any crawling insects. All of these, I'm gonna get rid of this Dawn Redwood, because Dawn Redwoods in Oregon are quite popular as ornamental trees, because they can grow up there, but they're introduced. So that will be something I decide to have when I'm up in Oregon, when I'm living there. I'm very determined that I'm gonna live there. And if I don't, that's okay. If I decide not to, that's fine. There are some exceptions among these non-natives that I do want to keep now, such as the sweet acacias that I got in Florida. And I don't know how, if any more times I will go to Florida. So I'm gonna keep this. It's not invasive. This is the only sweet acacia I've ever seen around here, because I don't know. They can grow. I mean, they're hardy to 25 Fahrenheit, but yeah, I have no idea why they're not. I haven't seen one here. There's other acacias that are planted here that are invasive, such as the silver wattle and the blackwood. I don't know what that scientific name is, but there's Chinese pistache. In the end, I will keep this one because I've never seen Chinese pistache being sold up in Oregon. I pretty much anywhere. So I think this will be the only one I have. I don't need this pine because I'll keep looking for another one of the Monterey pines as a replacement. I already have two types of honeysuckles that are native growing here. There's the twinberry honeysuckle. It forms an upright thicket, and then I have a bunch of Lonicera hirsutida seedlings sprouting here. So I don't need that honeysuckle, which is taking over a fence over there. I don't need this locust. I'll let it grow. I'm curious, but I don't know. I'm definitely gonna get rid of the eucalyptus. It's gonna happen. I don't need firethorn because we already have plum trees and some other members of the rose family that grow into bushes and shrubs and trees that look really nice, but this one's evergreen, so there's not much changing aside from flowers. I don't need the privet, honestly. It's I don't think I need the myrtus either, because as it's nice, it smells nice, but I don't need it. I have the bay laurel. That smells nice. I will not repot it next year, so that in hopes to make it survive the repotting, because I root pruned it quite severely, and I don't think bay laurels grow from cuttings. I have never tried, but it's worth a try. A lot of the legumes in here I'll have to give away. Now, I could give away or get rid of my wisteria. I did want to keep it here as a memory in my collection, because we have to get rid of this soon because of the fire danger thing. It sucks, but it's a dark truth. Now the succulents, well, this is just an absolute curiosity. I don't know, but I'm probably not going to keep these. I'm probably going to end up digging this one up and potting it. And not letting it seed, if it ever does. The only time it ever flowered was the first year I collected it from the dunes, which, even though the dunes are protected, this is an invasive species, and I'm glad I did so. The avocado, I don't need it. I don't need the sugar maple, but I'll keep it for a little while. Do I need the red oaks? I don't know. I don't think I do. I don't need the hawthorn as much as I was excited to start one early in my life in hopes to achieve that windblown style of the ones growing in Scotland. I can do that later when I am in Oregon, because hawthorns are also there is a hawthorn that grows in Oregon. I'm not sure if it's native or not. It's probably not, but it was introduced. But yeah, lots of hawthorns in Oregon. I do not need Chinese elm. No, if we have any other deciduous trees that have tight growth like this, I will look. And I think we have plums. We have plum trees that do that, kind of similar to this. I don't need a Chinese elm. These also don't defoliate. They refuse to defoliate. The larches, I could get rid of these. Honestly, larches, there's a few pockets of native larch populations in Oregon. Probably all in protected areas, but I'm very sure that somewhere in some parts of Oregon there are nurseries that sell larch. If anyone is familiar with the smiley face larch forest in the plantations, northern Oregon, in the coast part of the mountains, west of the Willamette Valley, there's a smiley face of larches, and that is a good sign. They don't get fall colors in January, and they get fall colors probably in early December, which is great. That is the time for them. That is what healthy larches do. I do not need a chast tree. its fall colors aren't very good. It kind of turns like this lemon lime mix of color, and then they just fall off. Not much change. I already have maples that kind of look like this, so I really don't know what I'm doing with this. This doesn't even live that long. Oh, do I need the Coelobacteria? For now, I'm gonna keep it because it gets really early fall colors around at the same time that the poison oak gets fall colors, just maybe a few days later, like a week later, this changes color, and it's not sold in Oregon. I'm very sure. I've never seen it in Oregon before, but you know, there's always a surprise. So just in case I don't have any opportunity to save this, because there is not many trees here that turn orange in our climate. It may look orange from a distance, but the leaves, they don't turn orange. Not many trees in our climate, or in our area, turn orange. There is not many. I mean, maybe poison oak, but it's very subjective, I think, if I'm using the right word. But poison oak generally turns fuchsia. Yeah, so there's not much that turns orange. So I'll keep it. The weeping willow is kind of a tough call. There are weeping willows in Oregon, so I do certainly have the option to get rid of this and start anew when I live in Oregon. And yeah, so there's lots of weeping willows being sold up in Oregon, I'm very sure, because I've seen them a lot growing in people's yards. Well, they're not everywhere, but here and there's a weeping willow planted. This is not a native pine, and I don't want to have to get one that is supposed to be like an imitation. I don't want any imitation trees. So I'll harvest some seeds from a Monterey pine, and I'll plant them, and hopefully I get some started, and I take care of them, repot them at the right time, and I don't plant them next to trees that leaf out a month earlier or more, so that I respect the times that respect the phenology of the trees, because Monterey pines, a month ago they were starting to shoot up candles, but this one of mine was growing next to a weeping willow. This one, they were in the same container, I think. They were in both in this container. I had to root prune this one in January, and that was not only too early, but I probably didn't keep enough roots on it, so it died. The smaller one, however, is struggling, but I have faith in it. I think it's gonna make it. I won't repot it next year. Yeah, so then there's the Yosemite trees. These are native because, I mean, they're technically in the general area, like the state natives, as well as natives in Oregon, like Pacific Northwest natives is what I want to keep, mainly. But also all of my poplars, because that is my favorite kind of tree. Any poplar. The pale barks are our ultimate favorite, but generally, the genus Populus of the willow family is my favorite genus of plants. There are people coming. I don't know. Someone with a red bag. Oh. Oh no. A red bag? I was gonna guess it was like the fire service or something. But why would they have a small... whatever, that it looks like a Toyota... I don't know. Doesn't matter. I was told that the fire marshals will be coming or going around the place and making sure everyone's plants are in a safe proximity distance. But yeah, so yeah, I am kind of happy. I'm very satisfied with what I have. So now I will separate the ones that the non-natives that I will be keeping this year at least, with the ones that I want to discard right now. In future times, I will keep doing this until the only non-native ones I have are the ones I'm very sure I'm gonna keep, that I have a reason that I, usually if I have no other chance to get one of them, I'll keep it. As I continue to filter out what I need and don't need, want versus not want, it gets harder, a lot harder. And yeah, it gets very, very difficult. Do I want to keep my hawthorn for a little bit? And then I gotta think about the future. I don't... like, do I need to discard it right now? Or can I do that during winter? Because some of these I am keeping at least for another year because I want to see the fall colors. Or if I just don't feel ready to let them go yet. But I don't need that. I genuinely don't. They're invasive, actually. I have noticed Chinese elm is invasive a little bit. It's not really known commonly to be invasive. Well, I know. Well, I'll wait during winter. Honestly, yeah. I'll wait during winter for this one, and yeah. And yeah. So, but the others, the duplicates, the avocados, I do not need them. It's about to leaf out. So before I'm delighted with the spring growth, I want to get rid of them. It is kind of a stressful decision to make once you realize that you have too many trees. It's hard to let them go. But you really got to think hard about what you want to do with your life, and do you think that are you in a good spot in your bonsai hobby at your point in life? Now, yeah, so are there ones that you know that later in your life where if you're gonna move somewhere, is it available in nurseries there? I really highly recommend starting with the natives, at least starting with the harmless non-natives and natives that can be bonsai quite easy. But it really depends. Whatever tree is native is generally better. But there are lots of beautiful natives here that don't really last long. That might be shrubs that send sprouts out of the roots often, like snowberry. And then there's blackberry, raspberry that doesn't really, you can't keep it into a tree form without that part of it dying back and trying to resprout in order for it to keep growing and living. But those could be accent plants. And yeah, so yeah, it's a very difficult decision. I'm making it right now. It's difficult. But definitely, if you have any native trees that are definitely invasive, you should get rid of them. Because, I mean, indirectly, it would be supporting. It's like an indirect way of supporting native invasive plants. Not saying that you think like that, but just it's hard to explain. But I don't know, just natives. I don't know how else to say it. I'm starting with my natives personally. I did start with a non-native. I think I started, the very first tree I tried starting was a sweet gum, and that's native to the south, like in Florida and the southern states. And then I started a few natives. I think my plum tree, my plum forest, my plum seedlings, my alder was native. My valley oak was native. But it's a tough call, and I gotta keep sorting. So this I'll keep until winter next year. So the ones that I want to see them get fall colors before I discard them in the winter are the ones I'll keep this year. So that's how I will do it. This is this doesn't count with duplicates, such as I have one Chinese pistache right here, and then I have this and a forest right here, and then I have another one there. Those are duplicates. I do not need them. I just need one peaceful non-native Chinese pistache. I'll keep the hawthorn for now. I'll put it there. And I'll keep the elms here. And then as time progresses, I will decide. I'll keep the tray for now. I don't need my apples. Yeah, native plums. I think maybe with these trees, I could treat them like accent plants for the time being. I could just cut them to the level. If they survive, they survive, and I'll just cut them back to the ground, and whatever other plants, like willow herb, which is native, and there's other nice ones, I think. This one, yeah, this one's a weedy native for sure. It has beautiful red flowers. I don't know where it went. There was a lot blooming right here, just like a month ago. But the plant I am trying to find it's blooming right now. It's in general, it is in flower. This is its flowering time. It doesn't really matter. I'm just curious. But I guess here in my yard, I don't see it blooming. But weedy natives that flower easily are good for the environment, the natural ecosystem around you. Even if they're weedy, they're not invasive. because invasive actually means it came from somewhere else and there's no predators that can manage it. But this weedy native here, it does have creatures that do eat it and munch on it, keep it under check. Yeah, so I could cut these other ones down to the ground and just keep this tray mainly for my redwood tree and the two sweet acacias. Yeah, so that's what I would do. Maybe I can cut my eucalyptus completely back just to let the sticky weed grow. It's not native, but I don't know. It's just interesting. To just reuse your projects that you aren't working on anymore for something else. Yeah. Until you're ready to use them for other things. So most of these are going to become new accent plants that I'll just keep among my bench here just to save up space. But it's the trees that it's a lot to handle, a lot of trees. So I want less trees. But a whole bunch of accent plants is fine because if one dries out, it's not gonna completely stop it from growing because annuals and herbaceous perennials that die back when conditions get too harsh. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I will get my tools. So I have my tools, I have my snips and my shears. I'm gonna start with my honeysuckle. Yeah, they're quite forgiving. So I'll just prune this now. Now I don't understand because the reason why I'm not completely ridding them is because I tend to feel bad when I just discard like a thriving plant. So if I know that there's some part in the soil, at least I'm not feeling like I shouldn't have gotten rid of it so quickly. So there it is. Now this could grow as a cutting, but you know, all of this foliage will fall off and wilt. I do feel very comfortable throwing that part away and knowing that I have two other kind of honeysuckles in my collection that are native. Makes me feel a lot better. And then here I have my eucalyptus forest, which I've always despised. And yeah, so these eucalyptus have pretty much, they've just started recovering. You can see that there's some extensions on this larger one here. They've recently recovered from repotting. They smell divine, but again, we have the bay laurel. I mean, even though the bay laurel has its own smell, has its own standard of smell, but I don't want to get spoiled by the eucalyptus as well. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this issue, or well, even if they even count it as an issue. But I'm just gonna cut these right at the ground, and probably knowing that I am cutting past the nodes, or past nodes, or two nodes that I have removed all of the whole entire branch producing mechanism thing in the node to keep the tree growing some foliage. But I don't need this, and I'm super happy I got rid of it. I just made myself do that. I feel a little bit better, more reassured. Oh, now I can smell it. Oh, well, I'm surprised. There's no fumes from the eucalyptus wafting up, but my hands definitely smell like it. Surprisingly, my scissors don't. But next, I have the chest. Oh. I don't need the cutting. Hasn't even rooted anyway. The buds were swelling, but, you know, I don't need it. However, I will discard this one next winter when it's bare. I don't think it's recovered from repotting quite yet, but I'll just let these two shoots. I cut a tree that I was already repotted, and that has weakened it, but that's okay because I don't want. In the end, I don't want this because I have plants that are similar enough that are native. Now here are two pines, and if you know pines, they cannot survive without foliage. So these are certainly promised to fail. Now I got both of these for Christmas, but you know, I understood that, you know, we have a native pine, Pinus radiata, that looks very nice as when it's mature, and it can be good bonsai. And I don't need any more pines aside from the native ponderosa pine, gray pine, and Monterey pine. So I will cut them to the ground, and that's gonna kill them. But instead of just pulling them out, roots and all, and throwing them away, I could just create these as accent plants for the time being. Here I have my cherry laurels. I'll just cut these at the base. This one is barely even. I'll just cut that one more node. Cherry laurels are honestly kind of boring, and I have seen them growing in Oregon. So just in case I change my mind, well, I'll consider starting one. I'll only think of starting one like when I'm up there. Next, I have an avocado. Do I need this? Well, let's see. Well, you know, I never know. I'm gonna, there's a node. I don't want to completely get rid of this one yet. I'm not ready. But there's a node here, and I'll cut just above that. I'm gonna use a bigger shears. So there, I took the top off. Avocado trees in nature have branches starting lower. They have short trunks, shorter than the scale of the avocados I have growing. This is a tough call here. I'll leave this one. Just, I don't know. I'm not ready to let this one go yet, because it's actually, I realize it's quite nice. I keep forgetting. But I certainly do have the rest of these that I don't need. I honestly don't need citrus. I even don't need my very first Chinese pistache, because I have a 1 year younger one that is developing faster than this one, because this one had a worse root base and a worse trunk. And 1 year, it just keeps producing branches lower and lower. And so I haven't, the other one, it had a trunk at perfect height, and then it started perfectly producing branches. Here, I don't need them. This is an invasive one. I'll just keep one. So yeah, there's that. There's this Chinese pistache. That was in the forest. It was older than the others. And then there's this citrus seedling. And there's not much going for it. But probably sell citrus up in Oregon as well. I don't know. You know, for like a greenhouse, because I mean they can't survive up in Oregon. At least I don't think. So I'll clear some of this away. And now here's my Chinese pistache forest and a pomegranate. There is a shoot right here. This is a very weak tree, and I pruned it so that we make it even weaker. But they sell pomegranates up in Oregon as well. I'll cut these because I already have a nice individual Chinese pistache. It would be this would be like just a redundant one, a copy, just a duplicate. I have 3 more. This little blackberry. Yeah, so I don't need it. I don't. So I'll just cut it. I'll cut all the shoots back. It's also invasive. There's the shoot from last year. I think. No, that's from 2 years ago. Yeah, this was also growing into the water. Sprouting roots. And there's lots of nice plants growing here. There's these little annual. This little annual. It looks like it might be in the mint order. I'm not gonna say it's in the mint family, but it doesn't. Hold on. Okay, you see, that doesn't really look like a mint family member. I mean, further down it does have opposite leaves. They're fuzzy, but above they turn into alternating, or no, spiral arrangement. Just like apples, oaks, and poplars, and birches, willows, and yeah, and all rose members. So I don't know, but this is nice. There's like a nice set of grasses. There's another kind of willow herb here. It could be, I don't know. I'll just call it Epilobium lanceolata because it has lanceolate leaves, which means very narrow. But yeah, that's a nice little assortment. That'd be a new temporary accent plant until the next time I find a plant for it. So now I'm going to do my apple trees. I do not need these. This one pretty much didn't make it and won't because they've gotten, I don't know, something attacking the foliage, which this is from a genetically modified apple, so it's probably subjective to pests. I don't know. I have no idea. They're not doing very well anyway, so I could just end their suffering. They get super late fall colors. So okay, you can see, if I'm not mistaken, this was where the no, I'll just cut it off. Where were the cotyledons? I think they were right here. They could have been, yeah, this is probably where the cotyledons were, right here. There's a node here and a node here. And then the rest of the nodes above that right here are in a spiral arrangement. Where it goes, you go 8 nodes along a stem before a leaf is in the exact same place as okay, so in that kind of leaf arrangement, a leaf is 8 nodes You go 8 nodes without a leaf in the same place. If that makes sense. I don't need my privet. I recently repotted this, and I was already considering it. Here, I have a myrtus, and I tore off most of its roots when I was transplanting it. It has not grown roots at all. Besides, it's very dry. It's an evergreen from Tasmania, from the alpine regions of Tasmania, and, well, some parts of Australia. It grows in the tundra, in the southern hemisphere in that area. Maybe some grows in New Zealand, I'm not sure. I don't need myrtus. I'll see if I want to keep my other one, but, you know, that's why I could start a cotoneaster. Cotoneaster, while it may not have opposite leaves and branches, and while it may not produce branches as easily, it produces branches easily. And it's a low-growing shrub. Its bonus is deciduous. It may not have aromatic foliage, but that's why I'm keeping my bay laurel. And maybe it's just some... There is a native mint that grows here. I want to know what that looks like so that I can grow it under my benches. I want to get rid of all the ivy here in this little area so that I don't have it crawling up into my bonsai pots and strangling my plants or the benches. Okay, there's my spurges. I'll get my scissors. So here, I don't need my spurges. No, there are no spurges that are native here. There's plenty of replacements for them. A lot of them are invasive. But in its place, I have something growing here that looks promising. I hope it survives. Yeah, it looks nice. I'm gonna guess it might be in the rose family just by those leaves. It's definitely, obviously, it's a broadleaf. It obviously has 2 cotyledons. One is eaten off by snails. There's 2 of these native miner's lettuce. I'll keep those alive. I don't know how long miner's lettuce can live while it's being irrigated. It probably has to die off and live a short life. You know, but that's why I have some, it has flower buds, so I'll pollinate these, and then after that, it probably will die, I don't know, and then I can just replant the seeds. But now, well, yeah, the tray is a tough call. I'll cut these back, during the winter, because I do want to see how much these grow, but there are some that didn't make it, such as this mimosa here. The tamarind also didn't make it. That's dead. This is also dead. This is dead too. Just couldn't stand. Actually, it's still alive. Well, whatever. I don't need an erythrina. I don't need Sesbania. I'll deal with these Sesbania later. I would like to see them flower. And my wisteria. I don't need it. Yeah, I don't need my silver wattle. And I don't need my wisteria. So I'll get that out of my collection. Now here, I have some, I don't know, you know what? These could be interesting seedlings. I'll let them live, but then these laurels, since there's already a bay laurel, it's in the same family as these. I don't need it. Yeah. These are little interesting plants. I don't plan to keep them as bonsai, but you know, they're little cute plants in the, I don't know what family they are. You don't, the leaves have the slightest aroma to them. An herb-like aroma. Very, very slight, but I don't know. I'll just let this fill up with plants, little weeds, until winter. And here, I have a snapdragon plant. I don't know if it's alive. It doesn't seem like it's alive. Are they annuals? I'd expect them to be perennials. Well, I don't want to disturb the surface of the soil. I'll let that be. I'll let this willow herb take over. And I'll cut back the firethorn all the way back. It's actually spreading through the rhizomes. That's a willow herb. I don't want it doing that. This is a rhizome. Alright, I've got that taken care of. And I think, well, there's one more one. There's one more. It's mine, the ash. Oh, I can cut back. I'll cut back this. Unless I can pull out if it's dead, but no. I'll cut the dead one out. Save the living one. And then this is a non-native ash. The native ashes have rounder leaves. And yeah, this is the evergreen one, the semi-evergreen one from Asia. So I'll cut that back. And this will now be a pot of native redbud seedlings. And to let them gain strength, I will not repot them next year. And if they are subject to snail damage, well, then I can protect them from the snails. Yeah. I think the rest of here, well, there's hollies. We don't need hollies. We have hollies can be replaced with the native oaks. There's a canyon live oak and a coast live oak. But these, I'll probably have to restart I'll have to collect some over again, because these seedlings are, I need to grow like a few seedlings for multiple years before I do any work to them. So I think that's my lesson learned. Start your oaks. Don't repot them the next year. Let them keep growing for a few years to gain strength, and then slowly reduce the root system and refine it and get it into a better shape. Now, any here? I don't think there's any of them here. Not many of these ones are trees. But now, the only ones I have are pretty much I don't have any invasive trees here in my collection now. I've gotten them all cleared away, and the only non-native ones I have remaining are peaceful. Like the I don't know, the sugar maple. I've never seen a sugar maple planted here, but up in Oregon, I've seen them planted. I'll keep these, because I have not seen how well they get fall colors in our climate. If the fall colors of sugar maple is if the quality of that is reduced because of the climate we live in, then I'll get rid of them. They sell them they're street trees in Oregon of these. So I can collect the samaras from the trees, the maple seeds, and start them from that. I don't need. Maybe I don't need a white poplar right now, but I'll keep them. They probably sell aspen trees in Oregon. I have a cottonwood, native cottonwood started, but up in Oregon they have their own kind of cottonwood, so black cottonwood, or black poplar, Populus trichocarpi. And it's like this kind of poplar, just it has no serrated or wavy margins, and the leaf underside is paler. They also sell pin oak up there. I've seen pin oak, so maybe I can collect an acorn from there, or a seedling from under a parent pin oak over there. Always replacements, and think about like wherever you are planning on moving. Have you been there before, and what did you see there, and how does that affect the trees that you will be keeping, or the ones that you will be not keeping, the ones that you will get when you move there, or what are the ones that you will never ever get a chance to keep or have in the future. So keep those if you like them, and you know that availability is very, very limited. Go get it and buy one, order one online, have supporters or fans, I guess. I don't know. They'll eventually start giving you trees, or wanting to, or suggesting ones. And now that I have all of these cleared away, I have so much room for the next collecting season, which, it's probably too late to collect trees by now. It's already May, and I think next winter I will be collecting 9-bark. There's a native 9-bark here in the rose family. It's nice, semi-evergreen, has maple-like leaves, so I don't know if it will let me style it into a tree form without any suckers. Then it will probably it's a spiral form leaf arrangement, so it's not going to look exactly like the structure of a maple, but I don't know. That doesn't matter. We'll see. But then there's the Oregon ash that I want to collect. At this point, I'm risking it if I want to collect it now, but I'll let it grow another year. And then I do want to start, once and for all, a California black oak, because apparently I have not been successful with them, and I don't know why. Maybe I'll have to do some research. I do want to get some success with my weak trees. I want them to actually grow, such as my oaks. I would like to start over on that. And yeah, I am satisfied with what I have. So that was a long video, but I do think it was worth it. So that is all for today. Thanks for joining me here among the watch poplars.